awesome to have Matt with us. Matt's our CEO. How long have you been the CEO for now, Matt?
Look, I believe it's about 6 months now, Paul, and loving every second. And I feel like I really understand the product, the market, and a lot of our customers. And I spent a lot of time with both our customers and the caregivers at the coalface too, really getting to understand some of the challenges running their business day to day and what else we can do from a product development perspective, which makes your life easier. And that's why I'm so excited about today's session.
Yeah, Matt's been getting straight into it. It's flown by 6 months, hasn't it? Wow. I wouldn't have guessed. I would have thought 3 months. So yeah, you're actually I mean, and it's testament to you is how much we've gotten done since you started. So it's been amazing. And of course, Owen, you've been with the company a bit longer than that. Are you just over a year now?
No, I started new when you started, Paul. So coming up on
Get out of
2 years.
here.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, 2 years.
That's so bad that I just thought you were a year. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Owen and I get on really well. We do a lot of work. So Owen's in the product team and I'm in the success team at ShiftCare. So a lot of you guys in the chat and everybody here will probably know me, and I do a lot of the webinars and stuff, but I'm sort of doing the onboarding and everything. And Owen and I work really collaboratively to, talk about upcoming features, and I try and give the feedback from our customer side and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we work really closely. I think that's one of the great things about ShiftCare at the moment is how intertwined our success and our product teams are at the moment to try and make sure that we're delivering products that are going to help you guys, because that's the question is like, how is that actually going to help you, and how can we make that better to work better for you guys as well? So yeah, thanks for coming and doing the webinar, guys. It's really awesome.
And just on that note, that Robert's already asked to pose a question, so please keep them coming through, and we'll continue to answer them. So for those who don't know, please check out the Q&A section. There should be like a little question mark, and there might even be a little red box on it. We'll aim to answer as many of those as we can during the webinar.
Yep, definitely. So yeah, look, the way we're going to do it is we're going to blab for about 30 minutes and going through some of the stuff that we've done. And I think there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that a lot of you are going to see and go, wow, I didn't even know that ShiftCare has done this. So because we've been adding so much so fast in the last six to 12 months, there is, I think, a lot of it's been missed. So it's a good opportunity for us to go through. So we'll do that for 30 minutes, and then we're going to try and hit as many questions as we can in the 30 minutes. And, we're keen to sort of have an open chat and tell you where we're at and what we're thinking, and, so that everyone's on the same page about where ShiftCare's headed. So yeah, let's have a look. Matt, do you want to talk to this? I think you should be proud of this the most. I feel like you've driven this awesome slide because, yeah, you've really pushed things.
Yeah, look, one of the things we do is we do our best to listen to all of our customers about the product features that they would like on top of what they've got today, but also in how a product feature works today, but how maybe cumbersome that might be, or maybe there's a manual workaround. And what we aim to do is sort of push this into our product development funnel. And as you can see here, we've released about more than 50 new updated features over the last 6 months or so. And we're aiming to double down on that capacity. So we're really hiring a lot more engineering capacity in ShiftCare to continue to double down on that. We're also doubling the size of our product team, and we're doubling the size of our integration team. So even though the last 6 months has been amazing and we're really excited to sort of just show you a snapshot of those features that we've launched, I think the next 6 months is going to be even better. So Robert's posing a lot of questions in the question and answer. We've got a couple of surveys that we're going to ask you through the course of today as well to sort of prioritize what features would you like next. Back to you, Paul.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think I thought actually it's a good lead in. One of his questions was, is adding staff chat on the development list? And it's actually the first poll we wanted to ask. So I think that's really good lead into putting that up. So we're going to pop up a couple of poll questions during the session because we're trying to get feedback. That's what we're trying to do as well. So I think the first question, I'm just going to pop it up now, is do you want staff messaging? Like, is this something that our clients are all shouting for? Do we want in-app messaging, so the ability through the ShiftCare app for your staff to talk to each other about shifts and all that kind of stuff? And well, yeah, okay, there you go. We're getting pretty clear responses on that. So yeah, that's awesome. Please do let us know, because we'll work on what our clients are telling us we need. Yeah, I think we wanted to go over some of the not so massive features, but I always, when I'm talking to clients, for me, the features that are the best features are the little things that make your life easier every day, right? You know, like we are always talking about these big features that we're working on, but sometimes the little ones are the huge ones for our clients. And so, yeah, I guess who wants to talk to these? Owen, do you want to run through a few of these?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, over the last 6 or so months, um, these are probably one of our, a list of our main uh, features that we've released. So starting off with group pricing, as we all know, at the beginning of the year, there were changes um, to group pricing for NDIS services, where there will only be 1 to X amount of uh, ratios. So we've included that update to our NDI price books module. We've
And
also,
we just simplified it, right? So you
yeah,
didn't have to put in every ratio and what the price is. You can just put one-to-one price and it just divides it. And that's what I loved about it is like, let's just make it simple. Let's not make it more complicated than it needs to be.
yeah.
Mhm.
We also introduced publish shifts where before actually posting a shift to clients or to staff members, there is a sort of a period of time where you can review all the shifts that you've created and then um, yeah, post them out to the staff members. We have changed recurring shifts slightly as well. So we already had that functionality. We included a bit more flexibility on how you want to change the actual recurring sequence of those shifts.
Well, that was a real pain, right? If you had a Monday, Wednesday, Friday recurring shift and then you needed to change it to a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, you had to like delete it and restart it. But now you can go and change the frequency and it'll do it for you. I think that's a real hidden feature that a lot of people don't know we added, which is awesome.
Yeah. Cool. One of the more recent ones, we introduced invoicing of cancelled shifts. So previously, if you cancelled a shift, you always had to have a staff member on there for you to actually invoice that shift, even though it's cancelled. What we've done now is when a shift is cancelled, you can actually choose to remove that staff member, and then they can be rostered on to other shifts during that cancelled period. However, you'll still be able to invoice that cancelled shift to a client.
And I quickly just mention that if you do give your staff member other paid work, you're not allowed to invoice for that cancelled shift. But if you did put your staff member onto other admin work or something that wasn't paid work by a client, you can still invoice the cancelled shift. So I think that's a really good feature because it was a pain in the butt having to put like a cancelled a fake staff member on the shift essentially. So yeah, it was a great improvement.
Cool. So next up, audit log. This is still a work in progress, but we've just released an MVP version of the audit log where you'll be able to see actions that certain users did throughout the ShiftCare web app. So you can see who changed a shift detail, who deleted a document, etc. And that's currently shown on the audit log module.
And a work in progress. We're going to be beefing up the audit log as we go as well. So yeah, it's really
Yeah, I
good.
think there's a lot more we can do on that one. With the building the audit log feature was really around getting the metadata or the data that underpins every transaction within ShiftCare. Now our goal is to be able to surface it at the right point in the right interface for you and your staff to answer that question. You know, maybe I'm running a still house and I was off yesterday and Paul's come in to substitute for me, but I noticed Owen's been pulled off a shift. I want to know a lot of the questions we get, was that intentional? And so what we want to do is be able to better bubble that information up to you and your team to go, actually, I did actually delete Owen from that shift yesterday and it was intentional.
Yeah. All right, we better move quickly. We're not going to get through all our slides.
Yeah.
So you asked us to be
I
interactive,
know,
Paul.
and I've been talking more than anyone, so sorry.
So yeah, I'll just skim through the remaining three. So this was actually a big request where clients wanted to, well, carers wanted to upload multiple images to a progress note, we've extended that a bit more for the ability to actually upload multiple documents and images to a progress note. Recurring job board shifts, that hasn't actually been released yet. That's still in testing, but yeah, we're still looking at that functionality where you can create a recurring job board shift. And then lastly, fund balance report. We just have a new report which tracks all the fund balances for all customers in one place.
That was a great report, and yeah, let's get that recurring job boards out. I think we're pretty close to having that ready to go because yeah, that's awesome being able to have a recurring job on the job board instead of having to put it in each time. Before we go to the next slide, I thought somebody has asked in the chat or talking about the whole family app for families to see the roster, which is of course our ShiftCare Connect, which we have. But it is something that we're looking at because we know that it can be better, and we think it's one of those hidden gems that ShiftCare has. It's an amazing feature, and we just need to enhance it just a little bit more. But we're keen to get an idea from you guys. For anyone that's using Connect or knows about it, what would you like to see next? So I'm just going to launch that poll. Let me end the other one, and then I can launch that one. All right, so yeah, I'm just launching a question about the Connect portal. And yeah, if you have an opinion on it, if you're using it, we'd love to know what would you like to see us working on next, you know, the one thing that you would like to see us do the most. So yeah, cool. We'll let that poll run while we go to the next slide. New Xero integration. Well, I did a webinar on this, I think last week or the week before. So I think hopefully most of you guys saw this. If you're using Xero, definitely my push over the next 6 months is to be trying to get everyone that's on our existing integration over to the new one that we have. The great thing about the new one, of course, is that you can export invoices, which you couldn't do before. You had to download a file, then upload a file. Now you can just push them straight to Xero. So the new integration's excellent. I think we've had some pretty good feedback about that. So yeah, and I think further in the session, we're going to be talking about other integrations as well. So we will come to that. Anything you guys want to add about the Xero integration? Maybe up the top, it says available for all plans. So I think that was one thing that, you know, we're mindful of putting out features and always saying, oh, you've got to be on the premium plan. You know, it's a bit of a trick with SaaS platforms. And so we wanted to make sure that everybody had access to this integration because we know it's such a cornerstone of ShiftCare linking with Xero. It just makes sense, right? So yeah, we made it available for all plans, which is really awesome.
And I think what we've done there is we feel like it's been very well tested and, you know, put to the test in the market. However, in saying that, you know, we're conscious that this is a continual journey to, you know, enlightened perfection, for want of a better term. So we welcome your feedback on what else we can do better in that regards with our what we call interoperability with Xero. Our goal is how can you use our clock in, clock out time and attendance features and automatically help you push those timesheets to Xero or any other application for that matter. And ultimately the same goes for invoicing. Our goal is to leverage investments that you've either made in payroll, HR or accountancy or for anything else for that matter, and have them be able to link with ShiftCare. We'll talk about that a bit more later in the session.
And of course, down the bottom here, the little screenshot about two-factor authentication. And I put that here because we did add two-factor authentication to ShiftCare. You don't, it's not just for people that use Xero, it's for anyone. So you can turn on two-factor authentication if you're trying to make sure that your data is secure for your staff, because you know, maybe their passwords aren't great. So like you can turn on two-factor authentication. So you can go up into your profile, and this is for admin staff, of course. So you can go up into your profile and you can enable two-factor authentication, which is a great addition to ShiftCare security. Multi-account login. I love this feature. So, you know, we know that we have clients that use multiple ShiftCare accounts because they might have an office in New South Wales and they might have an office in Queensland, or maybe they've got two arms of their business, or maybe you're a bookkeeper and you work across 7 different ShiftCare accounts and you need to log into multiple accounts all the time. So there's so many reasons why you might need multi-account login. So we've got this awesome feature now where we can link them, and we have to do this for you in the back end. So you will need to reach out to us. You can just email cs@shiftcare.com if you are wanting to, if you do have multiple accounts, and I'll have that conversation with you. But essentially, yeah, you can switch between your ShiftCare accounts now by going up to your profile and clicking on them, just like it shows on this thing, which is super cool. I think anyone that uses multiple accounts is going to be looking at this going, this is amazing. So yeah.
Correct, and I think just the reason we kind of enforce the fact that you need to reach out to us, verify who you are, verify account ownership of that other account, is we just want to make sure that you have legitimate access to the accounts we're going to provide you access to. Just simple checks and balances that we do here at ShiftCare, just to make sure that you and your information is protected to the highest degree.
100%. Yeah. Cool. What's next? Ooh, custom forms. Who wants to talk about custom forms?
So let me do this. Custom forms. This is a continual journey. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this, but this our version of essentially a WYSIWYG forms editor. So we know a lot of our clients out there have PDF documents, or maybe a Word document, a Google document, or any other type of form out there that you use in a day-to-day basis that you ask your carers to complete maybe at the end of a shift, or to complete each time they go into a facility. We've essentially created a GUI form builder that allows you to build pretty much any form within ShiftCare and deliver that to either a client, a prospect, or a staff member, or have that ad hoc available for them to fill out when they encounter a particular situation. So I'll give you an example. One is Owen might have specific occupational therapy requirements. So I might have a specific progress note format or template that I want my staff to complete each time they complete a shift with Owen. You could go in here and can create a custom form for that. Then later on, we'll show you how you can attach that to his profile in a shift. Another custom form example might be a service agreement. It might be a care plan. It could be an incident report. So Paul's showing you we can have rich text, we can have headers, we can have questions, we can have radio boxes, we can attach signatures. You can do things such as pain charts. Yeah, if you're so inclined, you can do the Bristol stool chart. It enables you to add an image to that document, and then your staff can actually draw on that image and resubmit it back to you. And that will alert back in essentially your forms inbox to say, hey, Paul's completed this form. And you can go in and make that mandatory that I have to approve it. And we have the concept of a multi-use or a single-use form. So if you've got any questions on this, this can be a little bit overbearing to look at and to understand in the first instance. We've included some templates in everybody's accounts. If that doesn't get the creative juices flowing and you've got a use case that you want to talk to me or the team or Paul about, please just ring us or use the online chat support feature within ShiftCare, because I noticed one of the questions was, do you have an online support? It's within the ShiftCare web app, and somebody will respond to your query in real time within 30 seconds.
Yep. And I think what I love about custom forms is there's actual platforms that do forms, and we've like built this whole, it's almost like it's a separate product in ShiftCare. And obviously with any product that's added to a platform, it's going to take time for us to iterate on it and make it better and add improvements, which we've already done with the rich text formatting, right? So you can now copy in bold and italics and all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I feel like this is such good value for our customers that including this in our subscriptions is amazing.
Yeah, it enables you to essentially copy maybe one of your existing service agreements and put it into this form, and then you can send that to your new clients to sign.
Mm. And yeah, I guess it leads into this sort of shift-related forms. I think.
So, do you want me to, this one,
yeah.
I particularly like this one, and maybe I'll try and describe it in my own unique way. But what we wanted to do was every time you create a client profile, we know that Owen and Paul they've got different needs, different support requirements, different documentation requirements. So what we wanted you to be able to do is attach or append one or more forms to Owen or Paul's profile. And you can set that as mandatory or non-mandatory. Now, this is where it gets really good, because each time one of your schedulers creates a shift for one of your staff, if it's mandatory, to be mandatory applied to that shift, which means that that staff member cannot clock out without completing that bespoke form for Owen or Paul. And so what you're really doing, you're starting to enforce your care standards, but from the client up. So you don't have to remember all of this in the scheduler like you currently do with manual tasks, etc. So when you combine this with tasks and forms, it gets really, really powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's also worth mentioning that there's still work to be done for the shift related forms piece as well. So initially we'll allow the staff member to actually fill out these mandated forms on the shift. However, a limitation is that other staff members on the same shift won't be able to see some of these responses. So a good example would be progress notes, because you'd want your staff members in future shifts to actually see what progress notes have been previously submitted. So we're currently actively working on implementing that functionality where other staff members can see responses to these shift-related forms as well.
Yeah. So I'd say for now, if you're thinking of using it for progress notes, you'd probably want to hold off just for now. But for incident reports, I think it's great. I think you can absolutely use it right now. And yeah, we're working on that very soon. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff with this. It'll definitely allow much more customization for each client instead of just having this global note that goes for all clients, which is cool.
And
All right,
just one quick thing, Paul. Owen, do you just want to describe what plans it's available? Because I just noticed Megan Cole, I just had a quick question. How do we find it? Where is it?
Yeah, so the forms is on premium plans. So premium plans is for forms, incident management as well, which I think is the next thing we're talking about. These are all on the premium plan. If you're not sure about plans and how that all works, definitely you can email cs@shiftcare.com and one of our customer success team is happy to go through. Actually, awesome number of features that you get on the premium plan now, and worth having a chat to them for them to go over what our plans are and what you get on each plan and making sure that it's going to work for you. Speaking of incident management, so we've only got 4 minutes left in our slide time, so we're going to have to gun through. But look, incident management is an amazing piece. So one of those things, so you've got your carers out on the field and they make a report, and they're going to use maybe custom forms to do that, or our existing incident report forms. But from there, it kind of used to be that you would just have to deal with it on your own outside of ShiftCare from there. And now what we're trying to do is bring ShiftCare into that and say, well, no, we need to track an incident that's happened from an administration point of view, to talk to stakeholders, to do we need to report it to the NDIS? Is there a whole bunch of stuff like that? And so this is what this is, like a ticketing system for incidents. And you can go through and create a ticket. You can track it from in progress to resolved, and you can see how many tickets have been dealt with and everything like that. It's really awesome. And I think, again, we're coming together where we do want it so that if you have a form that you've marked it as an incident report, that it will automatically create an incident ticket, and then you can do that. That's all stuff that we're still sort of fine tuning, but definitely the ticketing system is a really great way to make sure you keep on top of all your incidents. I might talk to this one too, because this is something that I championed and I loved, and especially the timesheet thumbs up stuff here, because I felt like this was such a good little win. So look, one of the things that I always talk about when I'm training people is when you approve shifts, you've got to be really careful, right? Because if you approve a timesheet based on clock in and clock out time, but the roster time's different, that the invoice is always based on the roster time, not the clock in and out time. And we've made changes to that now where you can turn on a setting that says, no, I want to invoice based on the actual clock in, or whatever the status is that you approved it on. So if you approved a shift based on the clock in and out times, then it'll actually change the invoicing. So up the top here, you can see it's invoicing from 11:14 to 12 instead, because I invoiced it based on the clock in and out times. And that was part of it, was when we were looking at it, I was like, it's so slow to approve a shift based on rostered time. You have to click into the shift, click on approve, and there's like 4 clicks. And so they did a really simple change to the timesheet that you can either click the green thumb to approve it based on clock in and out time, or the orange thumb to approve it based on scheduled time. And I think one of those little things that made such a big difference for our clients, they really love it. I think definitely if you are under the impression, and there are plenty of people out there that are under the impression that ShiftCare already did this, if you think that if you're approving a roster based on a timesheet based on clock in and out time, that it should also change the invoicing, then you should look at this setting. And you can find the articles on our help section about invoicing based on approval status. But it's a fantastic improvement to the way our shifts invoice, and making sure, for me, the biggest thing is there should be no discrepancy between how much you're paying your staff, how many hours you're paying your staff, and how much you're invoicing your clients, because that's how you lose money, if there is a discrepancy between those two. Custom roles, who wants to talk about that?
Look, one of the things we've done here, this is release version 2 of custom roles. We've got one more release coming over the next couple of months. So what we've aimed to do is provide one, if everyone's aware, we have the concept of a base role in ShiftCare, and that's on the image on the right. We've aimed to make that more intuitive and easy to understand, is what are these pre-configured base roles and what access does that user have access to. Over and above that, we've provided you with more configurability over and above one of those base roles. So you can pick a base role that might be coordinator, might be support worker, and you can turn off access on and off for certain features. And so that's one thing we've deployed. It's live. It's available for all plans. The next one we're doing is just further tightening up data access. And ideally, that will be released in the next couple of months. So you'll see a big song and dance from us about that. But that's well specified, and it's under development right now.
Yeah, super exciting, and something, as a person that does onboarding, it's certainly something that new clients ask a lot about, is fine tuning. And I think even this morning I had a conversation with someone about it. So yeah, really excited to see this custom roles coming through. And of course, it's so important in the NDIS to restrict data to certain people. So yeah, fantastic stuff. Split mileage. Again, I might talk to this because I feel like
This is your baby. Yeah.
I love this feature so much. So, so one of the problems that we had with ShiftCare was that you could only put one lot of kilometers on a shift, and it would be either activity-based transport or provider travel. You couldn't split it into 2. You also, if you had multiple carers on a shift, it would just put all the kilometers on each carer, and it would put all the kilometers on each client. And so we needed to be better at this, and we're way better at it now. The flip side to it is, of course, that your staff need to be careful when they're using it now to make sure that they're putting the right data in. But absolutely, it really fine tunes it. So you're able to say, yes, there was provider travel kilometers, and there were activity-based transport kilometers, and there was provider travel time, and you can invoice for that separately. And the carers can put their own mileage in to say, well, I need to be reimbursed for 35 kilometers for this shift. So yeah, it's an awesome feature. I've done a webinar on it, so definitely watch that if you're interested in it. Yeah, this one's on the premium plan as well, because this was a big piece of work. I think it was a bigger piece of one. We don't talk about development, and sometimes we go into something and we go, oh yeah, that'll take a couple of weeks, and we start coding it, and then we're like, oh my god, this is taking way longer. And this was one of them where we were happy to see it when we got it released, because it took us way longer to code than we thought it would, but so worth it. I think it makes a real difference to our clients, and in the NDIS space, especially if the NDIS next year were to come out and say, we're cracking down on kilometers, you're going to have to be much more accurate. Well, you can be with ShiftCare now. So yeah, it's awesome. Cool. Owen, you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, so this one was also another quick win that we had. The ability to admin users will now be notified if a staff member clocks in a bit late to their shift. So we've currently set it at 10 minutes. So after 10 minutes and a staff member hasn't clocked in to their shift, that admin user will now receive a email. You can see an example of the email on the bottom right-hand corner as well. You can actually choose to receive an email or not through your staff profile settings underneath the subscribe email categories.
Very cool. 12-month exports. So, this was a pretty common thing, is like, hey, I've got someone that, a support coordinator or the NDIS says, I need to see your notes for the last 6 months. And it was an absolute pain writing ShiftCare because you'd have to do it 2 weeks at a time. And so we heard you, we went to work, and we've made it so that, and of course it sounds simple, right, when you say, oh, just make it 12 months. But of course there's database and data sides of things that our developers need and engineers need to make sure it's not going to crash our whole system. And so we had to put some time into this, but it was worth it because now you can export 12 months and it puts it into a PDF for you. And yeah, it's awesome. I think most people probably know that this is in the system now, but definitely worth mentioning in our slides. Ooh, mobile app. And that might lead in, I think, before we even go to the next slides, I'd be keen to ask this question first. So we've got another poll here about what would you like us to do? Like if you had to choose one thing on the next thing that we work on the mobile app, what would you like to see? So I'm just going to pop that poll up now. So yeah, have a look and say, okay, what's better for us to work on in the mobile app? Why don't you? Who wants to talk about mobile app, Matt?
Let me kick off. Obviously, one of the things we've just asked is just a couple of questions of what's the biggest priority for mobile app. Actually, that's the wrong question. That's more of an integration question anyway. So the question you're asking, right, that everybody's answering right now is, we're doubling down on our integration capacity. Where would you like us to invest our time and effort? And I'll explain that more in a couple of slides. Just in the mobile app, one of the I'm constantly reading mobile app reviews, support tickets, etc., etc. I've felt some of the carers' pain. I use the mobile app myself, and I thought, God, some of these things just aren't intuitive enough. So we're doubling down on our engineering capacity for our mobile. Made a few basic changes recently. You can now upload multiple documents and images to Shift Notes all at once, rather than having to do them all individually, which was causing untold frustration for your staff. We're starting to make some improvements to the calendar navigation in the app. They're live. If you and your staff have any problem with the mobile app, I just encourage you to either go to the Google or the Apple store to download the latest version. We're updating our mobile app weekly, if not daily, and we'll continue to remind you. And we're going to deploy a feature shortly that says, "Hey, Paul, you haven't updated your ShiftCare app recently. We recommend you go and update it." We're just looking at how can we do that quickly and efficiently. Other one is, one of the feedback was when I click on location, it didn't show me the directions. I'm not sure if you're aware, but if you click on the map, it would show you the directions, but not on the actual text location itself. So we've enabled that, and we've also worked on some just better communicating what's happening in the handoff between our app and your local navigation solution, whether Apple Maps or Google or maybe Waze. We've also built out the client profile. I think from memory, this is configurable. We had a lot of carers who said, if I'm going to a shift with Paul, my client, actually, I need to be able to contact Paul, my client, on his phone number. I needed phone number or demographic information. So we've allowed you to share that with your carers from the ShiftCare web app into the mobile form. And then obviously we've spoken about custom forms and advanced incident management, but we're going to spend a lot more research and development on our mobile app, and we're doing some really cool things over the coming months. One of the questions asked were, about recording the start and end of travel time using GPS. That's one of the things we're exploring right now about how can we do that in a privacy compliant way that both supports your staff and your admin and tells them how we're using the app. We're just working on that now, which is really, really exciting. Do we want to go to the next slide?
So
Paul?
I just realized what happened. I put the wrong poll up. So I'm going to do the actual poll for the mobile question now. And I'll redo the integration question later when we get to that. But yeah, so this is the mobile app. So yeah, I'd love to get your guys' feedback on what would you like us to work on next on the mobile app. Cool. Next slide.
And yeah, I'm just noticing a lot of people want to be able to use the administrator app. You can technically actually use the web app at the moment as well. So please try that in the interim before, we are aware that that is a bugbear at the moment. What we're going to talk about now is break tracking. We have a whole lot of product development coming down the pipeline. This one's kind of really quite exciting and will lead into a whole lot of other things that ShiftCare will release over the next month and the month after that. But we're about to launch the concept of break tracking, both paid and unpaid. You can see in the small left-hand screen here, just the mobile app, and telling the carer that they either have a paid or unpaid break to check in and check out of, where you can allow the staff to clock in or clock out of that break or just acknowledge it. We find for our customers in California, a lot of them have been sued quite heavily because they haven't been overtly and saying, hey, Paul, you need to take a break. You need to take a break. And so what they're asking us is, hey, ShiftCare, can you help us record that consent that, say, Paul was acknowledged that he had a break between 10 to 15 or was offered one. And yes, he did take that break, so they can record it. Not saying that's going to happen in Australia, but we know under SHADs, etc., you've still got to offer people breaks, otherwise you have to pay them overtime. So we want to enable you to more overtly communicate that, hey, Paul, you've got to take a break on the shift, whether paid or unpaid.
I don't take breaks, Matt. You make me work too hard. I don't have time for breaks. No,
you're amazing. You're an amazing worker.
You know what excites me about this, and I don't even know if you guys want me to say this, but I can see a little spot there that talks about sleepover shifts and putting a sleepover into a shift. And I think that's probably going to excite a lot of people, is that you won't have to split your sleepovers into 3 shifts. And obviously this isn't part of this break tracking, but it's certainly something we're looking at down the track. And I think a lot of people hate having to split their shifts into 3 shifts. So just know, guys, we're looking at it, we're talking about it, we're hopefully doing it. So yeah.
Well, and the other one is, on a sleepover, obviously you've got to track awake time as well. And I think that's also a perfect opportunity just to verify that your staff member might actually be in that location if they are sleeping over, because we have heard some pretty horrible stories. So it'll just help enforce compliance. So there's some really awesome, amazing things we're doing in that area, and we'll probably announce them in the next couple of months. This one's just as exciting. We're prepared to share a little bit more about this and what we're doing in detail, but this is the concept of how do you actually manage the onboarding of a prospect? And I call a prospect, come from a sales background. A prospect is a customer that you're wanting to woo, and you've got to quote them for the service that you want to provide. And here's essentially my statement of work, and here's an agreement to work with me as a care provider. Obviously, in this industry, we call that quotes, roster of care, and service agreements. Something that we're building, and we're just going to show you a quick glimpse into really what that looks like. One is the ability to build up a quote. We have had this sort of a bit of legacy functionality around this area. We're turbocharging that functionality, and we're enabling you to build the roster of care, whether that's for the next month or it's the next 12 months, to build some quite complex roster of cares and actually quote that, and then attach a service agreement from forms, and then be able to really email that and SMS that to your prospective clients to say, hey, Paul, following the discussion, here's a comprehensive quote. Here's the proposed schedule of care for the care of, the person under your care. And if you're all okay with that, here's our terms and conditions, being our service agreement. If you like that, please digitally sign, and that'll come back into your ShiftCare platform. So that's something that we're actively working on, and we'll be looking for beta clients for that platform, probably ideally mid-October.
That's pretty exciting. Timesheet filters. Yeah, I mean, look, bigger clients, it's a bit of a nightmare. Like, we've got some clients that have got 200 staff, 150 staff, and loading the timesheet report, it takes a while, and you can't filter it. So like, if you're a supervisor of a team of 10 staff and you only want to approve 10 staff members' shifts, it's really hard. So yeah, this improvement's going to be so welcome by a lot of our clients. So you'll be able to filter the timesheet report by shift type, by staff or teams, by location, which again, we haven't even talked about locations, but that's something that we're looking at, and still on facilities. And again, we're looking at that down the track. So bit of some insights into some of the stuff that we're working on, but this is going to be a much appreciated feature by a lot of clients that need to only look at certain staff while they're doing their timesheet filtering. timesheet approving. Integrations. This is the part you're excited about, Matt. You're muted.
Damn, everybody does it. You've got to do it once in a webinar.
That's right.
Interoperability is a massive focus for us. And I call that interoperability because really what we're trying to do is help you leverage the investments in technology that you've already made. And I know there was a couple of questions there about what does our progress look like with Employment Hero, with PayCat or KeyPay or Employment Hero HR. One of the things we want to understand is from a prioritization perspective, where would you prioritize that time? Looking at human resources management, that means really pulling in staff, their certifications, their training documents from other platforms. Payroll, being able to export our timesheets, time and attendance into those platforms. Obviously, accountancy is very straightforward, and we've just spoken about what we've done with Xero. We've done exactly the same with QuickBooks Online in the US and Canada, and we want to do more accountancy-based integration here in Australia. The other one we also want to work on is claims management. And then all of this is really underpinned by our concept of we have an open API. Now, we don't widely publicize this, but we're at version 3 of that API, and that grows and matures every week. Now, to continue to grow and mature our offering about how do we allow you to get the most of the investments you've already made, we're increasing the capacity of our interoperability team by 200%. And so they're focused all on the above areas. So at the moment, we're working on an Employment Hero integration, which is really, really exciting. First cab off the rank is what we call Employment Hero Payroll, which is the KeyPay and PayCat integration. So if you want to know more about that, please reach out to our customer success team, or we'll more formally announce that in sort of around mid-October. But that's really exciting. And Paul, maybe
I think we'll do that poll. Yeah,
redo that poll.
So given that context, we'll launch this poll now. So yeah, what do you, if you had to pick one thing that we work on next, what would you do? So yeah, that'd be great to get some feedback on that. And look, we only went 15 minutes over time, but we've actually gone through all our slides and we're on to the Q&A. And look, I don't have to rush off at 1, so I'm happy to stay back and answer some questions. You guys can drop off whenever you got to drop off. I'm sure, Matt, you've got back-to-back meetings as you do all the time. But yeah, I think we'll get started. And I think, I'm keen to get through as many questions as we can and just be as frank and honest as we can about what we can and can't do and what we want to work on and get feedback. So I think we'll just start from the top and start going through the questions. So new invoice clients based on approval status of a shift option. Can we turn it on for certain clients and certain shifts now or in the future? So yeah, great question. Look, at the moment it's global, so it'll work across any client. And I think again, when we're bringing out these features, we always think about, oh, should we make it do this? Should we make it do that? And then what ends up happening is it holds us off from releasing this feature, and then we end up like keep going and going and going, and it's 6 months down the track. So what we said is let's just release it with it global, but let's get feedback from clients. So yeah, if you think it would be good for us to do that based on individual clients and being able to say, oh no, this client should get based on the approval status, but all other clients should get based on whatever the roster time is, then yeah, give us that feedback and we'll definitely do that. But for now, it's only a global setting. Can there be a direct integration with Key? Will there be? Matt's already answered that. We're actually actively working on integrations with KeyPay and PayCat and all that kind of stuff. So pretty exciting.
And just on that, I feel like they're also market leading. The integrations we're doing are very, very comprehensive and well tested and well thought out jointly with our integrations partners.
Scott's just said publishing shifts. I'm not sure. Maybe he's coming back to it down further. Cool. I'll come to that. Multiple docs to progress notes is good. Is this applicable to mileage? Yeah, great question. It's the first thing I think when Owen will probably nod his head that it was the first thing I asked when I saw this. I was like, what about mileage? Because you want to take a photo of the odometer at the start and the end. And yeah, look, it doesn't at the moment, but I certainly think it's something we can put as the next iteration of that multiple documents is to be able to do that through mileage as well. Great question though. I haven't turned it on because I'm not sure how that will affect other people rostering on ShiftCare. I do seals, do they do community access? So yes, Scott, with the publishing shifts feature, you can filter it by shift type and then publish, and it'll only publish what you see on the scheduler. So yeah, that's fine if you have people doing different shifts or different teams or different shift types and all that kind of stuff. So I would probably encourage you to have a chat to your success agent if you want to get a bit of a demo on how that works, if you're thinking about upgrading your plan or wanting to turn on a feature. So just cs@shiftcare.com. Someone will be able to have a chat with you about that. Can we recreate recurring roster for a daily support, but all shifts being individual shifts? Yeah. So I guess you would just create recurring shifts every day that they're all individuals, but they recur every day. So it should build out a whole daily support. Maybe chat to your success agent if you need or support probably for that one as well. They'll be able to help you with that. Is there a way for, or even possible for staff to be automatically clocked in and out when they arrive at a participant's address? Yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't think I've ever been asked that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think ShiftCare at the moment doesn't track a staff member until they actually clock in. It doesn't grab their location. So we're not watching them at all times. And I think that's probably where some people will get a bit funny about that. If ShiftCare was watching you all the time on the weekends when you're out with your family and doing all sorts of stuff and you know, it just clocked you in automatically on a shift. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's an interesting one. I think I think this goes back to our portal idea where we can let people vote on ideas and say, oh, yeah, I love that idea. We should do that and get that kind of feedback. But yeah, I think at the moment we don't have that functionality, but it's something we could look at. ShiftCare does ask a pop-up message when staff log out without putting their progress notes in. Can we change that so a staff member cannot log out with putting their notes in? Anybody else want to talk to this? I've always got an answer I have to this, but I'm happy. I don't want to feel like I'm taking all the questions and answering all the questions.
I want to hear your answer first, and then we can talk
Yeah.
about things.
So look, yeah, ShiftCare does come up and say that you haven't added a shift note. Are you sure you want to clock out? In my opinion, that's actually the best way it should do it, because I think yes, we could theoretically add code to force them to not be able to clock out. But my opinion is they're trying to clock out because they're actually leaving their house, right? And they're going to go, and whatever you do won't change that. They want to go, they're going to clock out, they're finished for their shift. All it's going to do is make the clock out time inaccurate if you don't let them clock out. And then they'll probably go to their notes and just put a full stop and put the notes in and then clock out just so they can clock out and get out of there. I find if staff don't want to do something, they're going to find a way to not do it, is generally my opinion. And so forcing someone to do it isn't necessarily going to provide better results for you or more accurate records for you. I think that custom forms that we do has got that feature anyway. So you are going to be able to do it when we do the custom forms as progress notes. But we don't have that. But we do have a lot of people asking. So it could be something that we look at down the track. But definitely when we go to custom forms, you're going to be able to have that as a setting. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think the other one, Paul, that helps you with that is the new invoice based on scheduled shift times or clock in and clock out times.
Mm.
And the fact that, you know, obviously we have alerts in the timesheets that come up that person can clock in or clock out on the right time as well. So there's a number of ways to handle that from both a timesheet performance management perspective and also make sure you're invoicing the client correctly.
Cool. Next question. We send clients weekly schedules of shifts for the next week. Is there an intention of creating functionality to send schedules to clients directly from the app? That's probably where we're talking about ShiftCare Connect. And I think this question was before we spoke about ShiftCare Connect, but ShiftCare Connect is what we think people would use in that scenario where you don't have to send a weekly roster or a monthly roster to a client. They can log into a portal and see their shifts live. So if you change a shift for tomorrow, they'll be able to see it now that it got changed instead of you having to resend rosters all the time. So we do have functionality to send schedules out of ShiftCare now. Like you can go into their billing report and there's a little arrow, and I must say it's probably the most hidden icon in ShiftCare, and it will send them a list of all their shifts for the period of time that you put it in there. So maybe reach out to either support or success and ask about that, and maybe they can show, just in case you don't know about that at the moment. but yeah, that may be the way to go. Otherwise, Connect is definitely the way to go for sharing schedules for clients. Will there be any integration with MyOb? It's a good question. Matt?
Look, it's something we'd like to do, and so we'd just love to know which version of MyOb you're on. What we've done is obviously a few surveys of both customers and prospects. Appears to be a wide use of different systems. So for anybody on MyOb, if you could just put that in the chat about which MyOb system you were on, if you wanted that integration.
Yeah, I think that is one of the challenges that we have with MyOb is they have a bunch of different versions of the software and they all have different functionality on what they can and can't do.
Okay.
So yeah, it would be interesting to see. Hopefully so Tim's on account right. I would hope most people would be on account right. But then again, I think, yeah, well, that'll be good to see. Cool.
So Tim and Kane, that really helps us, just narrow down on which version do we do first.
Can we push a new client from ShiftCare to Xero and vice versa? So when you use the new integration and you export an invoice out, if the client doesn't exist in Xero, it will create a client in Xero. And then on the flip side, we also have an import clients from Xero into ShiftCare. I just put a big caveat on that to just be really careful. If you've been using Xero for 10 years and you've got 400 clients in your Xero, it's going to create 400 clients in ShiftCare. So just be really careful. We have updated that import. It's coming out soon where you're actually going to be able to see a list of the clients that you're going to import and choose which clients you want to import before you import them, because we had a bunch of people running the new integration and then they'd be like, oh my God, I just created 400 clients in ShiftCare. And so we're improving that. And that's what we do. We try and improve these things as quick as we can to deal with real world examples of things happening. Can we have note sections that relate to a client but can be accessed from when required from rostering a shift? Client has funding and then the admin can see if funding needs to be assigned. You can at the moment, from private notes on a client and it shows on the roster, but I think we can be better at that. I'd love to get more iterated feedback on that, I think, John, about how you think that should show and where it should show. So feel free to send us an email at cs@shiftcare.com with your feedback on that, and I'll pass it through to the guys here because, these are the kinds of feedback where can we make your life easier as a rosterer? And if it's a little change, then let's look at it and see what we can do. Because we've got capacity in our development to do little changes like this every now and then. So, it's great to do that. I have multiple still rosters, some 2-to-1, some with active overnights. The overnight rosters can be difficult with a job board because the inactive sleepover can't be held with anyone 4 to 7 p.m. Yeah, sills are always a bit of a challenge. I think we do have some work that we're looking at regarding sills that hopefully will help this space. I think. Do you guys think that's probably?
Yeah, look, it's an area that we're doubling down on at the moment, and hopefully you will see some great new features and functionality coming out over the course of the next couple of months, and we'll be looking for beta testers on those. As Paul mentioned, we try to launch really, really quickly so we can get feedback live from the coalface about did we get the design right or what other kind of tweaks should we make to really fine tune and really nail that pain point of yours. But we understand Sillhouse rostering is a real pain, and even Sillhouse invoicing.
Yep. Bupinder's made a comment in the Q&A about if you have 2FA on, you can't log into the app, the Carers app, and so you have to create another account, which costs more. We're aware of this, and we're definitely going to change it so that 2FA will work on the mobile app at some stage. But in the meantime, please email cs@shiftcare.com if you're having to create an additional profile for this. Let us know, and we'll talk to you about it, and we'll sort you out. An admin dashboard with real key time info would be appreciated, such as who's running late for a shift, total job board shifts, work anniversary, client and staff birthdays. That's such an awesome piece of feedback, isn't it? I think Matt, I saw that you had actually asked our sales guys just recently about what kind of data that people want. We're looking at reporting and all that kind of stuff and dashboards. So I think this really speaks to that. This is somebody saying, I just want a dashboard where I can just see real time what's happening right now in the business. So yeah, great feedback. I think we'll copy that through and give it to the guys when they're looking at this new reporting and stuff that they're working on. Cool. Do you have any feature to record broken shifts so the staff are paid correctly? Yeah, well, at the moment you put an allowance on a broken shift. I think, Shad's interpretation is certainly something that we'd love to look at into the future. And yeah, that would probably fall down that regard. I don't know. Is there anything we want to speak to about that?
No, but I think we can allude to the fact that, obviously break tracking, sleepover shifts, awake time, it goes in the right direction. So you can probably read between the lines what about our core theme is and where we're going.
Yeah.
And everything raised here, our goal is to satisfy or support you in some shape or form, and as quickly as possible. Some things take longer than others, but we're definitely on that journey and we'll be excited. Just please stay in contact over the next couple of months. It's a really exciting time for ShiftCare and our clients.
Great. Were you able to talk to someone at a point about the MyOp API? And yeah, cool. So we kind of mentioned that anyway. We can we will look at the MyOp integration because we have expanded our integrations team. So I'm sure we can have a check and see what's possible there. Does multi-account work for aged care services? I mean, multi-account it can switch between any ShiftCare accounts. So whatever you've set up, it can switch you between those accounts. Can we upload the form that is already designed in the forms? I'm not really sure what that question means. Maybe get you to
Yeah,
read.
I think if there's, I think I asked if there's any further clarity that person could provide, we can respond. But essentially, the forms are, once you've created a form, you can use it quite freely as you want, especially if you've created a template. But if you need help copying an existing form, please reach out and we can help guide you on the best way to do that.
Anonymous has asked, I missed where we find the documents at the moment. Is it included in all plans and should it be visible already or do we need to apply? So I think if you're talking about forms, that's on the premium plan. If you're not on the premium plan or you can't see it, email cs@shiftcare.com and we can have a chat to you and show you how that works and what plan that's on, excuse me. Forget my notes question. Cool. Is there an update on the split shift feature? I'm not really sure what feature that's referring to. Does anyone know what that might mean?
Not that I recall. Maybe if the person could just re-clarify their
clarify
question.
that. Yeah.
Which question are you looking at, Paul? What time was it submitted?
I've just cleared it off. It was just before 12:35.
Oh,
I've cleared it off though. You're probably not going to be able to see it. Late clock-in. I use this feature and it blocked up in my inbox. Is there a feature where you can flag in red when approving the shift? Yeah, well, look, I would say, Juanita, what I would do is look at the auto approving shifts. So ShiftCare has a feature where you can auto approve shift if they clock in and out within the threshold. And so then if you have a shift that didn't auto approve, then you know that they're clocked in and out late or they didn't clock in and out within that threshold. I would probably suggest that's the way you do. But you're right, it will, turning on that feature will probably blow up your inbox. One thing you could do is if you're using a system like Google or some of those, you can put rules on your inbox to get it to go into a folder so that you can then just look at all the late clock in notifications in your folder instead of getting it filling up your inbox. But yeah, you will, if you've got lots of people clocking in late, you're going to get lots of emails. Staff can still not see their timesheet in the app. Will this be fixed? This is a feature everyone has been asking for a while. That's a good question.
It's a good question. Owen, let's prioritize that one because it just makes sense.
Yeah, agreed. Because you can kind of see your roster, but
yeah, let me go to the next one. Juanita's got mobile app. I'd like to access admin access through the app. Great question, great requirement. Makes absolute sense. It's on our radar. We just got to please just bear with us while we work on that.
And I think it was when we asked what would you like us to work on, it was the highest requested feature. So yep. I would love to see a feature where Shift creates a staff ID on the app. Okay, well, so an admin can create a staff member on the app. I'm not too sure what that means. Maybe give us a bit more insight into that one. Yes, agreed. I'm not sure what you're agreeing with, but that's fantastic. I'm glad to agree. Also, is location being something we can explore for safety and staff within with behavior concerns?
That's
That
that's really interesting because we had a requirement. I don't know if it was America or Australia, whereby they wanted the staff to be able to check in. Was that every half an hour, every hour, Owen, on a long shift with a particular client to check their safety?
Yeah,
But
it
it's
was,
look, it's an interesting
yeah,
requirement. We don't get it
every half an
often, but we can certainly look at it. And if you've got any specific use cases, please email them to cs@ShiftCare. I'll just put that in the chat.
Or even maybe like an emergency button within the app, so that if something happens, they can click it and notifies.
Well, no, the one I heard the other day was it's like a reverse panic button. Owen's got to check in every 30 minutes, and if Owen doesn't check in,
Then
they know
it's
there's something wrong. We've got to go and find
interesting.
Owen, right?
Yeah,
Maybe that was in
cool.
Canada. Yeah.
Can we temporarily test the premium features with lower or no extra cost for a few days? Yeah, look, send an email to cs@shiftcare.com, and the guys will happily chat to you about that and help you look at being able to test out the features. If a client moves house and we update the address, it does not update in the shifts. Yes. This is super annoying. I feel like someone's raised it at the exact right time in front of Matt, so Matt and Owen. So if a client's profile's updated with their address, all their existing shifts stay on the old address, and you've got to go into each address into each shift individually and update the existing address.
Well,
on
I
each
guess
shift.
we would have to classify what address is in that client's profile. So home address, and you might want to tag that into a shift. Oh, we can look at that. It makes sense, and I understand the pain.
Cool. Cool. We've done that one.
What about
Thank you.
there was one from Samuel, is automated timesheet approval in the works at all?
Yeah, that's just the next one. So, I mean, timesheet approved, like I said, there already is a setting if you go to account and settings to auto approve timesheets. And the way it works is that you have a setting as well that's got threshold. So in minutes, so you'll usually set it to 15 minutes. If a staff member clocks in and out within 15 minutes of their rostered times, it'll auto approve the timesheet. And I think if it doesn't, then it doesn't, which I think makes sense, right? If they don't clock in and out within the time, then you need to check over and see what happens. So we already do have that. Samuel, if you've got any further feedback on that, welcome it, but I think it's a great feature. Can you look at allocating multiple instances of mileage allowance to one staff member in a shift? John, what does that mean? Why would you allocate multiple mileage allowances? And I mean, you can put multiple mileage allowances on a shift. So yeah, maybe if you could be clear on that, or maybe send an email to cs@shiftcare.com and I'll have a look at that as well. I broker to different companies. One company has 300 clients under one email. Is there a way for the company to keep an eye on their clients' shifts so they don't have to keep emailing them each week? Yeah, it's 300 clients under one email. I'm not, Lisa, I'm not actually really sure what that means. I'm happy to chat to you about that further if you want to email cs@shiftcare.com, and I can go over exactly what's happening there. Yeah, I'm not too sure, sorry. Is the mileage? No, the mileage feature is a premium plan because we did put a lot of development time into that, and it's a really big feature. So yeah, that's on the premium plan. Notification that staff haven't clocked on the shift is great. Is there a way to set up a notification when they've clocked off the shift? Because we have that they haven't clocked in. Maybe we need to look at the next. I guess the next natural thing is they forgot to clock out, or they haven't clocked out yet. Are they still at the shift? So yeah, I think Owen, I can see he's typing something already, so he's putting that in his notes. That's great feedback. Need to help to add center capital costs in when rostering. When I click on split shift, it changes the time. Yeah. Reach out to our support or reach out to cs@shiftcare.com about that. They'll be happy to go over exactly what you do. But yeah, when you hit split, it will change the time and you just need to adjust it. Yeah. Cool. My question is regarding while creating a new client on either side. So yeah, if you create a new client, I think this was a question about clients going over to Xero. So yeah, if you create a client in Xero and then run the import clients, it'll create the client in ShiftCare. If you create a client in ShiftCare and then do an invoice and export it to Xero, it'll create the client in Xero. So yes, you can do it both ways. Can we have an option to create a tab to indicate that invoice has been paid in ShiftCare? If invoice has been integrated in Xero, the invoice is sent from Xero. Great question. I think I saw you talking about this, Matt, recently. Or Owen, I saw some chat about this. So essentially, at the moment, when you do an invoice in ShiftCare and you export it over to Xero, ShiftCare then doesn't know when the invoice has been paid, and the invoice will show as being unpaid permanently.
Yeah, look, and we want to get to that ASAP, and it's that's why we're sort of doubling that integrations capability. So it's definitely on our hit list. Might take us a few months, in all honesty, to get to, but it's definitely on our hit list.
Yeah, great. How do you upload multiple images on the app for no purposes? I can't see an option for it. So make sure that you're on the latest version of the app. So this is a common issue, and something we're actually doing with the app as well is to warn you when you load the app that you're not on the latest version. But yeah, if you update your app, you should see the ability to do multiple documents. If you don't, please reach out to support. Can we better monitor over time? Yeah, possibly coming up soon. Hopefully. So yeah, this is all big part of that bigger picture with rostering and monitoring shad stuff. How can we add nighttime hours to timesheets for random active overnight hours? I mean, the answer to that is to have a pay group set up for night hours, and on the shift you would assign that to the shift to under the staff member. So yeah, reach out to support or cs@shiftcare.com and we could definitely answer that. Can you create a clock-in function for sleepover shift to track sleep disturbances? Yeah, possibly. I think that might be something we're thinking about as well. So yeah, look, all that kind of stuff is, yeah, read between the lines, I guess.
Might be an early Santa present, right? Maybe
That's all
Christmas
right.
will come early for.
Yeah. Is there a way to unselect clients addressing group shifts, as this can be confusing when there is multiple staff and the app shows the address is only first client entered? Yeah, look, I think we need to be better at how we handle group shifts and multiple addresses and all that kind of stuff. We know that we need to look at this, but it's sort of, I think it's on our long list, but yeah, I don't think at the moment there's anything. But I think feedback noted, we definitely want to address multiple shifts and multiple staff and multiple clients on shifts and stuff like that with addresses. Would like to see staff start dates easily accessible. Yeah, I think that would be pretty easy for us to put in a new field on a staff profile, just saying start date. Yeah, so Owen's jotting that down.
Yeah, look, I think you have to for some of the other things we're coming up to.
We've probably already got it in the list.
Well, no, there's the common, you've got to make sure you're conducting annual reviews for certain people under shads, etc. So you need to have that kind of concept. So
yeah,
let's just double check that, Owen. That should be coming.
Yep.
Added to the question, it would be nice to have a set of allowances, fixed times, etc.
Like pro forma allowances,
I see.
Yeah,
like for certain shifts and
activities,
for certain clients. Yeah, cool. Thank you. Problem with broken shifts is an allowance. You can put it on a shift, but then replace a staff member, and then broken shift stays there. Yeah, exactly. That's why it would be nice if we had a system that checked all your shifts and saw that it was the same staff member and then told you needed to put a broken shift on it. So yeah, I think that'll be actually, Owen, it's probably worth talking about that. We should probably engineer it the other way, that if you do have a broken shift when you don't need one, maybe it should be warning you as well. Might be something to put on the list. Because yeah, if things change at the last minute, you may need to remove a broken shift allowance. When staff have claimed kilometers on a two-person shift, how can I ensure that both aren't reimbursed? That's the new split mileage feature, Christine. So have a look at our, I did a webinar on split mileage, but email cs@shiftcare.com if you want more info on the split mileage feature and maybe looking at going on the premium plan to have a look at it. But yeah, you can definitely do that. I missed the answer to this one. Could you give us a 10-second recap? The new clients based on the approved status, can we just turn it on for certain clients? No. it's either all shifts or no shifts. So you can't turn it on for certain clients. Sorry for the unclear question. Can we upload the form that we have in MS Word? You'd have to copy and paste the text into rich format into the form, but yes, you can kind of do that, but you can't just upload the form. It would have to be using the custom form functionality. Regarding staff ID, add displays to photo, full name and staff ID on the screen so that we can show the client if they ask. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah,
Staff
that's
ID, that's
interesting.
an interesting one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
when they go to a shift, they can say, this is me and I work at this company
Mm-hmm.
and here's all my details. Yeah, that's cool. Great feedback. I believe the support team mentioned carer split time. Does this sound familiar?
Hang on, just going back. Oh, and make sure that's in the mobile app as well. Like, I mean, you could have the concept of a performer image with Owen, the logo of the company, their staff ID, and maybe their start date. That might work. That's cool. I love that.
Carer split time doesn't sound familiar. Sorry, Anonymous. I'm not really sure. I mean, you can split. Oh, maybe. Okay, maybe they're talking about like a shift where you get paid up to a certain amount, and then on the Saturday and then a Sunday, it pays them at a different rate. So you need to split their times. I think Owen, I mentioned this to you, and we said maybe in the future, but I think we know that we need to be able to do this better. We need to be able to pay staff for different times of the day. The only thing I would say to that right now is you can do this if you look at PayCat, which is our amazing partner company that guarantee 100% Shad's interpretation, are totally worth looking at, in my opinion. If you want to talk to the guys at PayCat, reach out to them and let them know that you're a ShiftCare customer and they'll look after you. But yeah, we will look at that in the future. If staff forget to clock in and out, which happens often, yes, it does, can they manually enter times through the app? Would you have any suggestions to manage this? Look, the idea with clocking in and out is no, they can't do that because it doesn't mean much. If they can type whatever they want in, that's not proof that they did it, right? And so we don't let people change their clock in and out times, but they can just put a note on those. So they can put in their progress note. They can say, I forgot to clock in. I started at 10:20, which is, what the NDIS says you can do. The NDIS says they should clock in using an electric system, but if they can't, notes are fine. So yeah, just tell them to put a note on the shift if they mess up. On this address topic, can we link one address to a shift type? Not all our Equine sessions happen.
Let me answer that one. Look, essentially what we're talking about there is that person may have most of their services delivered at one address. So the answer is we probably don't deal with it as well as we could do today. But we're hoping that's also going to be an early Christmas present where you could set up, you could add that person to what we call a resource or something else of that kind of nature, would allow that information to persist for future shifts.
Yeah, nice. Same as like a SIL or something like that, or you might do group activities in your office or something. Yeah. On a daily basis, we're almost through all the questions. On a daily basis, I have multiple staff members saying they have an error when they clock in and out, even though they're correct address. Is there any possible reason why? Look, there 100% will be a reason why, Kane. I have this conversation daily with clients. So look, the most common reason why they get that error is because they're on the wrong shift. So they're on tomorrow's shift and they're trying to clock in. I'm happy to look at that personally with you. Send me an email at paul@shiftcare.com and maybe forward me on a couple of the error. If you're getting the emails, send them through to me and I'll explain. But there always is a reason. So I'm happy to have a look at that with you. We have done this in staff documents and added a photo ID. Okay.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yep.
Cool. I think, Matt, you're typing an answer to that question about charts.
Yeah. I'm going to ask that person to send me a copy and then I can look at how we could potentially support it. Yeah,
we're looking at like medication charts and stuff like that in our next iteration of forms and stuff, which would be cool. Staff leave. When staff put in leave and it doesn't notify admin, staff still need to send an email to admin. Also, I've used a function on the system where I hover over the staff name and shows their availability. Yeah, well, actually, that was one thing we didn't really talk about that we've got coming up is we are looking at leave and unavailability and availability, and we're looking at adding availability instead of just unavailability and stuff like that. So there's definitely we're looking at this already, 100%. Thanks, Juanita. That's good.
And Anita's question is absolutely awesome, and it it aligns to everything that I've been talking to Owen and Paishan, our designer, more recently, just about what people want in ShiftCare Connect. So the question was, are there any plans for a mobile app for family parents so that they can see photos uploaded in real time to see what's happening with their loved ones are doing on a particular shift, and to have a collection of photos over time for their own purpose and memory? So the answer is yes, that's such a great requirement, Anita. You've really well articulated, and I don't think anybody in the industry does that well. So please watch this space.
I mean, ShiftCare Connect that we currently have,
Yes.
if you set up a family member to be able to use Connect and to see notes, then yes, they can already see photos and notes and stuff like that. But yeah, it might be worth iterating that a bit further to make it, a special photos area or something like that. That'd be cool. Because yeah, that's really nice. Cool. Can an administrator also add unavailability, please? They can already do that, Jacqueline. So if you're on the scheduler, there's 3 dots up on the top right, and then there's a manage unavailability. You can add and edit and do all sorts of stuff with unavailability. It is very hidden, so I'm not surprised you didn't know it was there. It's one of those ones that's hidden away unless you know it's there. Is there a way where staff can select whether they have used their own personal vehicle or whether they used a business car? Look, at the moment, no. Essentially, whether you add the allowance is whether or not they're using a personal or business car. I would say when they add mileage, there is a section to put notes in, so they can just write on their personal car or business car. But yeah, that's it at the moment. Maybe we should look at having a drop down to say whether it was a business car or personal car. And then it would auto add the allowance. Actually, that'd be cool. Yeah, maybe put that on the list. Of course, our list is, we got enough development stuff for the next 5 years, guys, going through all these questions.
But just remember the fact that we are doubling the size of our product team, we're doubling the size of our integrations team, and we're essentially doubling the size of our engineering team.
Cool. We got another question popping up. Is there a drop box? If there was a drop box, I think that avoids issues because of reimbursed staff for kilometers and that as many company vehicles use. Yeah, I agree. It would be cool if there was an option to choose when you're putting in the kilometers, and then it would auto add the mileage allowance or not. So yeah, that's really cool feedback. Cool. Well, we've got a couple more, but we may want to wrap up. We're only 20 minutes over time, which is not bad for a webinar that I run. To confirm, can we have approved provider link into client's progress notes?
This is for,
so it sounds,
we're talking about third-party providers, like maybe an occupational therapist or a physio for this person. And
it sounds like, and they need to be able to read the client's notes. So yes, the Connect will do that. So you could add them as a Connect person, and then they can go in and see the shifts and click on the shifts and read the progress notes from that shift. If that's what you're meaning, feel free to email cs@shiftcare.com if I've got more questions about that. But yeah, that's used by a lot of people to let people read their progress notes. When staff are working acting night, they have to use the override allowance, but it only work well from Monday to Thursday. When it's Friday into Saturday, yeah. Yeah, so look, that's a limitation at the moment of ShiftCare. Again, my answer to that would be the pay cat. If you're really wanting a system that does SHAD's interpretation and guarantees 100% compliance with stuff going over from a Friday to a Saturday, and shifts before and after a sleepover, paying the night rate and doing everything that it's supposed to do, then the pay cat is the answer to that. But yes, we know that we need to look at this, and we will get better at this, and we will. But at the moment, you need to do it as 2 separate shifts. So you'll need to do it as a 10 p.m. to midnight shift on the Friday, and then a midnight to 8 a.m. shift on a Saturday. That's the current requirements. With Connect, is there any way where we can just have access to incidents only? No, it shows all notes that are added, unfortunately.
Would you want Connect to have access to incidents?
I actually don't know whether it shows incidents.
I'm just wondering, would that be something you'd want to provide access to? Because I must admit, we were thinking no. For the call. Okay, yeah, understand. Thank you,
I
Anonymous.
actually, but my answer is it may already show that right now. I don't know whether it does or not. I think it
I think
may.
I saw a checkbox for it, didn't you, Owen?
We'll have to
No,
check it
I
out.
don't believe it does show it right now.
Okay. Easier,
Yeah.
okay. That's good feedback.
And I mean, we could have it as a tick box that says share progress notes, and then after it is like as and share incidents as well. You know?
Correct. Well, that wouldn't be hard. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, look, I think we'll wrap it up there. Thanks, everyone. That was really awesome. Yeah, thank you, Matt and Owen, for taking the time. I know you guys are super busy, so it's really awesome to spend some time with customers and getting feedback. And we got some really good feedback there, so it's great.
Yeah, and hopefully you realize we're trying to be more really open and interactive, sharing you with exactly what we're doing. We're investing time and energy and trying to get your feedback. It's not a precise science what we're doing. That's why it's so important that we listen to you. So for anybody who didn't get their question answered correctly, please email cs@shiftcare.com and that'll go through to Paul and the team. And they can also get to me if you have any further questions you need answered.
Cool. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Owen.
Thank you all. Have a good afternoon.
Take care, guys. Bye.